I'm back. I was looking back at the video from 2 days ago when I was giving a recap of what I had just read, and my English was not Englishing, to be honest. When I was looking back at it, I realized that I was messing up Violet by describing her. I was saying his instead of her, you know? But that's on me. Maybe it was the poor sleep. Maybe it was, yeah, I don't know. My brain was not braining. But yeah, that's on me. But yeah, I'm back. Reports of screaming in an unfinished housing tract, Bordeaux Ridge. This Friday evening, June 4th, less than an hour before nightfall, the sun cast gold and copper light on Orange County. It was the second day of blistering temperatures in the mid 90s, and the stored heat of the long summer day radiated off the pavement and buildings. Trees seemed to drop or droop warily. The air was motionless. On the on the freeways, on the freeways and surface on the freeways and surface streets. On the freeways and surface streets, the sound of traffic was muffled, as if the thick air filtered the roar of engines and blaring of horns. Repeat, repeat. Bordeaux Ridge, under construction at the east end. In the repeat Bordeaux Ridge, under construction at the east end. In the gently rolling foothills to the northeast. I feel like I'm reading a book and I'm thinking about something else. That's not okay. I need to picture what I'm reading in my head. In the gently rolling foothills to the northeast, in an unincorporated area of the country adjacent to Yorba Linda, where the suburban sprawl had only recently begun to reach, there was little traffic. The occasional blast of a horn or squeal of brakes was not merely muffled but curiously mournful. Melancholy in a humid stillness. Sheriff's deputies Teal Porter and Ken Dimes were in a patrol car, Teal driving, Ken riding shotgun with a broken ventilation system, no air conditioning, not even forced air coming out of the vents. The windows were open, but the sedan was an oven. It was an oven. You stink like a dead hog, Teal Porter told his partner. Yeah? Ken Dimes said. Well, you not only stink like a dead hog, you look like a dead hog. Yeah? Well, you date dead hogs. Ken smiled in spite of the heat. That's so. Well, I hear from your woman that you make love like a dead hog. Oof. From your woman, that make you love. From your woman. Oh my gosh. Their tired humor could not mask the fact that they were weary and uncomfortable, and they were answering a call that didn't promise much excitement. Probably kids playing games. Kids love to play on construction sites. Both deputies were 32, husky former high school football players. They weren't brothers, but as partners for 6 years, they were brothers. Teal turned off the county road onto a lightly oiled dirt lane that led into the Bordeaux Ridge development. About 40 houses were in various stages of construction. Most were still being framed, but a few had already been stuccoed. Now there, Ken said. is the kind of shit I just can't believe people fall for. I mean, hell, what kind of name is Bordeaux for a housing tract in Southern California? Are they trying to make you believe there's going to be vineyards here one day? And they call it rich. But the whole tracks in this stretch of flatland between the hills, their sign promises serenity. Maybe now, but what what about when they pitch up another 3,000 horses out here in the next 5 years? Teal said. Yeah, but the part that get me is mini states. What the fuck is a mini state? Nobody in his right mind would think these are estates, except maybe Russians who spent their lives living 12 to an apartment. These are tract homes. The concrete curbs and gutters had been poured along the streets of Bordeaux Ridge, but the pavement had not yet been put down. Teal drove slowly, trying not to raise a lot of dust, raising it anyway. He and Ken looked left and right at the skeletal forms of unfinished houses, searching for kids who were up to no good. To the west, at the edge of the city of Yorba Linda and adjacent to Bordeaux Ridge, were finished tracts where people already lived. From these residents, the Yorba Linda police had received calls about screaming somewhere in this embryonic development. Because the area had not yet been annexed into the city, the complaint fell into the jurisdiction of the sheriff's department. At the end of the street, the deputies saw a white pickup that belonged to the company that owned Bordeaux, Toolman Brothers. It was parked in front of 3 almost completed display models. Looks like there's a foreman still here, Ken said. Or maybe it's the night watchman on duty a little early, Teal said. They parked behind the truck, got out of the stiflingly hot patrol car, and stood for a moment, listening. Silence. Ken shouted, "Hello? Anybody here?" His voice echoed back and forth through the deserted tract. Ken said, "You want to look around?" "Shit, no," Teal said, "but let's do it." Ken still did not believe anything was wrong at Bordeaux Ridge. The pickup could have been left behind at the end of the day. After all, other equipment remained on the track overnight. A couple of bobcats on a long bed truck, a backhoe, and it was still likely that the reported screaming had been kids playing. They grabbed flashlights from the car because even if electric service to the track had been connected, there were no lamps or ceiling lights in the unfinished structures. Resettling their gun belts on their hips, more out of habit than out of any belief they would need weapons, Ken and Teal walked through the nearest of the partially framed houses. They were not looking for anything in particular, just going through the motions, which was half of all police work. A mild and inconstant breeze sprang up, the first of the day, and blew sawdust ghosts through the open sides of the house. The sun was falling rapidly westward, and the wall studs cast prison bar shadows across the floor. The last light of the day, which was changing from gold to muddy red, imparted a soft glow to the air like that around the open door of a furnace. The concrete pad was littered with nails that winked in the fiery light and clinked underfoot. "For $180,000, Teal said, probing into black corners with the beam of his flashlight. I'd expect rooms a little bigger than these. Taking a deep breath of scented air, Ken said. Hell, I expect rooms as big as airport lounges. They stepped out of the back of the house into a shallow rear yard where they switched off their flashes. The bare, dry earth was not landscape. It was littered with detritus of construction, scraps of lumber, chunks of broken concrete, rumpled pieces of tar paper, tangled loops of wire, more nails, useless lengths of PVC pipe, cedar shingles discarded by roofers, styrofoam, soft drink cups, and Big Mac containers, empty Coke cans, and less identifiable debris. No fences had yet been constructed, so they had a view of all 12 backyards along the street. Purple shadows seeped across the sandy soil, but they could see that all the yards were deserted. No signs of mayhem, Teal said. No damsels in distress, Ken said. Well, let's at least walk along here. Look between buildings, Teal said. We ought to give the public something for their money. 2 houses later, in the 30-foot wide path through between structures, they found a dead man. Damn, Teal said. The guy was lying on his back, mostly in shadow, with only the lower half of his body revealed in the dirty red light. And at first, Ken and Teal didn't realize what a horror they'd stumbled across. But when he knelt beside the corpse, Ken was shocked to see that the man's gut had been torn open. Jesus Christ, his eyes, Teal said. Ken looked up from the ravaged torso and saw empty sockets where the victim's eyes should have been. Retreating into the littered yard, Teal drew his revolver. Ken also backed away from the mutilated corpse and slipped his own gun out of his holster. Though he had been perspiring all day, he felt suddenly damper, slick with a different kind of sweat, the cool, sour sweat of fear. PCP, Ken thought. Only some asshole stoned on PCP would be violent enough to do something like this. Bordeaux Ridge was silent. Nothing moved except the shadows, which seemed to grow longer by the second. Some angel dust junkie did this, Ken said, putting his fears about PCP into words. I was thinking the same thing, Teal said. You want to look any farther? Not just the two of us, by God. Let's radio for assistance. They began to retrace their steps, warily keeping a watch on all sides as they moved. They did not let go before they heard the noises. A crash, a clatter of metal, glass breaking. Ken had no doubt whatsoever where the sounds came from. The racket originated inside the closet of the 3 houses that were nearing completion and would serve as sales models. With no suspect in sight and no clue as to where to begin looking for one, they would have been justified in returning to the patrol car and calling for assistance. I would have just left. Because I definitely know who did this. It's the beast. The unknown monster. But now that they heard the disturbance in the model home, their training and instinct required them to act more boldly. They moved toward the back of the house. A plyboard skin had been nailed over the studs, so the walls were not open to the elements. and chicken wire had been fixed to the tar papered boards, and half the place was stuccoed. In fact, the stucco looked damp, as if the job had been started only today. Most of the windows were installed. Only a few cutouts were still covered with tattered sheets of opaque plastic. Another crash, louder than the first, was followed by the sound of more glass shattering inside. Ken Dimes tried the sliding glass door that connected the rear yard and the family room. It was not locked. From outside, Till studied the family room through the glass. Although some light still entered the house by the way of undraped doors and windows, shadows ruled the interior. They could see that the family room was deserted, so Till eased through the half-open door with his flashlight in one hand and his Smith and Wesson clutched firmly in the other. "You go around front. You go around front," Till whispered, "so the bastard doesn't get out that way." Bending down to stay below window level, Ken hurried around the corner, along the side of the house, around to the front, and every step of the way he half expected someone to jump on him from the roof or leap out through one of the unfinished windows. The interior had been sheetrocked. The interior had been sheetrocked. The ceilings textured the family room open into a breakfast area adjoining the kitchen. All of it, one large flowing space without partitions. Oak cabinets had been installed in the kitchen, but the tile floor had not yet been put down. The air had the lime odor, had a lime odor, oh my gosh. Lime odor. Gosh, I can't pronounce it. Odor. Lime odor of drywall's mud with an underlying scent of wood stain. Standing in the breakfast area, Till listened for most sounds of destruction movement. Nothing. If this was like most California track homes, he would find the dining room to the left, beyond the kitchen, then the living room, the entrance foyer, and a den. If he went into the hallway that led out of the breakfast area, he would probably find a laundry room, the downstairs bath, a coat closet, then the foyer. He could see no advantage of one route over another, so he went into the hall and checked the laundry first. The dark room had no windows. The door was standing half open, and the flashlight showed only yellow cabinets and the spaces where the washer and dryer would be placed. However, Till wanted to look at the section behind the door, where he figured there was a sink and work area. He pushed the door all the way open and went in fast, swinging the steel sink and built-in table that he expected, but no killer. He was more on edge than he had been in years. He could not keep the image of the dead man from flickering repeatedly through his mind. Those empty eye sockets. Not just on edge, he thought. Face it, you're scared shitless. All right, I'm gonna end it right there. So a quick recap of what I read. I got introduced to these new two additional two characters named Ken and Till, who who are two police officers of the Orange County who are just patrolling when They both got a call about disturbance in Bordeaux Ridge, where both of them went to check out the noise, the disturbance that they were called to come check out. When they came to check it out, when they came to check out the neighborhood and everything, they saw a dead man whose ribs was ripped out, like half of his body was gone, and it was taken by someone, eaten, which was disturbing. And they started hearing more noises, which made them want to seek it out and find out what it is. But yeah, so recap. Also, it's Juneteenth. That's why there's all the noises right now. But yeah, it's a special holiday for all my African Americans. So yeah, awesome.